2 weeks, we'll be able to turn things around and raise the $90 million we are told required for the purchase of some fuels for the thermal plants?
Not yet. WAPCO has indicated that they'll go and do some technical assessments and get back to us. Like I said, the report confirmed that Sinona Sogli, for instance, has no fuel at all. ATPP and AXA, their fuel cannot even last more than 2 days. And the Pen Power has just about 22 days of fuel in stock. So we have a huge challenge, no doubt about that. And so the slightest disruption with gas supplies, we're going to have a major headache. So we are working around the clock to restock quickly and try and storm that period and hold the fort. But also, we are thinking of some medium-term remedial solutions to increase domestic gas, especially from the Jubilee fields to Ghana gas by about 30 MMscf, so that can bolster our domestic gas supplies. And Chief of Staff has been gracious. He's granted all the approvals required. We are going through the process. And so on emergency basis, PRA has been given the green light to proceed and secure some fuels, a strategic stock that can hold the system when we have such challenges. But we are thinking, and Honorable Atiforson is leading that PG losses is risen to 4%. To me and copied me that we owe them $370 million and threatening. ENI is also cautioning. Salo is cautioning. Pen Power is cautioning. Recently, you recall that Asogli shut down. Recently, they shut down because of debt that has still not been paid. And so the sector is hugely challenged. And even as I accept this onerous responsibility with humility and with some happiness, I must tell you, I'm very, very concerned and determined to work with all of you to improve the sector.
I see. Speaking about, the fuel situation and all of that, you chaired the subcommittee on energy, and your colleague Atiforson also, I'm sure, chaired that of finance or was in the mix of the finance one. Didn't you pick up this in your deliberation with the outgone team? Why is it appearing that the fuel situation is like a surprise, or you've been shocked by it?
We did. On the 20th of December, thereabout, there was a major meeting where WAPCO was invited, and WAPCO briefed us that they initially intended undertaking this exercise in October. But Akufo-Addo-led administration prevailed upon them to push it to January so they can build adequate stock of liquid fuel. And at the meeting, it came to light that they have not procured those parcels of fuel, and that by the time we get to the 20th of January, we'll find ourselves wanting. So the Minister of Energy assured us that he had sent a requisition to the Minister of Finance. And the Minister of Finance, who is my co-chair, also assured that he will fast-track the procurement process so that we'll have adequate supply of fuel. I mean, given the trust that we all build amongst each other, I thought that it wasn't proper at that time to cry wolf and to sound alarm bells. You only sound alarm bells when it becomes really, really imminent. But when both parties are working around the clock and the minister assures you that he's released money and even assured us that he's released $70 million to GMPC. And as co-chair, just when my tenure was ending, I did further checks, and all the information I got indicated that despite the assurances, nothing had been done. I thought I needed to put it out there because I couldn't be sure that I would be a minister. And I thought as co-chair and exiting, at that moment, I needed to let Ghanaians know the state of the energy sector. And I don't regret that.
I see. So it does appear that the energy sector, of course, aside from the technical issues, is essentially an issue, or the problems there are essentially a matter of money. Is that not the case?
I think principally is money. But that challenge of money emanates from inefficiencies. Because if the ECG's losses are 40%, no matter what you do, You can't find a solution. Other countries are doing just 2-4% losses. So every $100 worth of power you buy and sell, you collect only 60%. And even with that, there are so many contracts, quality assurance, IT provision, and they are deducting monies at source. And so I've told the ECG MD, and this was instructions with the Chief of Staff, he should cease all payments for supplies. And we mean it. I've told them, don't do that. And if anybody is listening and within ECG, whether the finance directors or whatever, these are the instructions that we gave you yesterday. Please don't. And I mean don't. There are serious ramifications and serious consequences if you flout this directive. You must build some adequate buffers in order to anchor and hold the system. All those numerous accounts will be closed. That's a fact. We can't have over 70 accounts. We cannot monitor that. So we need to reform that sector. And we will reform that sector.
Talking about reforms, the president hinted at privatizing ECG because of the losses and inefficiencies you've talked about. And of course, over the years, we've known about the inefficiency of the ECG. How does that or how will that privatization look like, given that we've seen PDS in the past and on all the matters that have surrounded same?
Yeah, the technical committee sent a recommendation to the chief of staff. We don't even want to wait till I am sworn in. We want to constitute a technical team to work with some consultants, with the World Bank, with the IMF, with AFDB, in a transparent manner. Let's first of all determine the framework on how we're going to engage the private sector, especially with the billing and collection, and possibly beyond that, so that we can set good KPIs, go through a competitive tender process, and get the best so that we can improve the systems at ECG. My brother, the truth is that we have no alternative than to involve the private sector. Where we've gotten to, I tell you, that's the only option available. Let the private sector get involved. But we have to develop a strong monitoring and evaluation mechanism and ensure that they meet those key performance indicators.
I see. I know in the past there was $190 million from the Millennium Challenge, compact program that the Americans took back. Is it possible that you can re-engage with them to have this money given to us to help us, bridge the gap at least for some time?
No, we did. In November, President Mama led us to several meetings, including a meeting with the MCC in Washington. They indicated that the Compact 2 had closed and the money had returned to chest and they've exhausted it. So as for the 190, we are not going to get it. But they told us that there's a window of opportunity for further cooperation. But what will unlock it would be our own initial work and our own initial steps. So they'll be monitoring. When they are convinced that we are conducting ourselves in a transparent manner, in an open manner, they'll be willing to assist. And President Mahama assured them, because I led the energy technical team at that meeting. So we are clear in our mind what we intend to do. Let's do it well. Let's just do it well. Let's get it right. Let it be transparent. No cronyism, no favoritism, no underhand dealings. Let the best companies win it. And let's put effective monitoring and evaluation mechanism in place to address the challenge.
Very well. Thanks so much for speaking to us. We wish you the very best in this challenging role you have just been given, and congratulations for on your nomination as well. So that's John Jinapo, newly nominated person for the position of Minister for Energy. This nomination came today together with that of Dr. Kisela Forson for the Finance Ministry and Dominic Ayeni as Attorney General and Minister for Justice. Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. Your comments are welcome via WhatsApp line 0549 986 996. This one from Aka Paul Jr. from Ahafumim says the appointments of Dr. Dr. Dominic Ayeni as Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Arthur Forson as Finance Minister, and John Chinapo as Energy Minister ring a certain bell in our ears. The payment of unwarranted judgment debts to Isofoton SA and Co., authorization of importation of empty ambulances, and the nostalgic memories of doing so. These same ministers plunge us into. I therefore implore Ghanaians to manage their expectations, because I only foresee divine intervention to turn the fortunes of this country around under them. This one from John in Koforia says, whatever the NDC does, the MPP will by all means talk about it. Father SK from Kenya in Kumasi says, good evening, Salam. These ministerial nominations are just a cliche, nothing new. MPP and NDC don't have anything better for the nation. Aziz Donline Was says, actions they say speak louder than words. John Mahama really means business with these three key appointments. We are hoping to see Dr. Jasso, MP for Y East, heading one of the ministries. This Aziz Donla, Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. Dr. Patrick Isumi is an economist, and he joins us on the line for some more analysis on the appointments the president has made. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News.
Good evening, and good evening to listeners. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Very key appointments made, particularly finance minister and then energy minister. I mean, energy now essentially a matter of money, especially in the power sector, and all the difficulties we are told we could be plunged into if we are unable to raise some huge amounts of money within the next 2 weeks. Also, talk to me about, Arthur Forson. I mean, you've been playing in the same sector with him, the economy, etc. What does he bring to the table?
Well, I think when you think about how to run a modern finance ministry and the challenges, and in particular our case, well, you need some skills and some qualifications. So it's good to have somebody who has a good grasp of public sector accounting, somebody who understands something about taxation, and obviously somebody who knows how an economy works. So I think from that score, you see that he has qualifications in all of these. He has a master's degree in economics. He has a master's degree in taxation, and I understand he has a PhD also in finance. And he's been in the public sector for a while. I think he's been a deputy finance minister before. And also he's worked a lot in the Parliament finance and I believe the budget committee. So in terms of the right experiences and qualifications, you have to say that he has them. But I think, sometimes it takes more than the right qualification and experiences to be successful in the finance ministry. You need some toughness, you need some firmness, and you need a thick skin. So I hope that he has all of those, because, your colleague ministers will be bugging you and pulling you here and there, because obviously, there are difficulties the economy faces in terms of finance. So I think in terms of the qualification, it looks great. I just hope that he has the other attributes, that will ensure that he's successful in the role.
I see. His boss, who is our president, made some interesting pledges or promises on the campaign trail, key among them being scrapping some taxes, e-levy, betting levy or tax, emission levy, COVID tax, and all of that. Given his understanding of taxation, and of course, we've been given the first 120 days to have these things done. How do you suppose that they will go about doing this?
Well, first of all, I think that we shouldn't take the first 120 days. We shouldn't take that literally. I think we should take it seriously that he means to do it. But if you think about it, it will probably be the end of the first quarter before they will be able to present their budget. And it will be some days after before they will be able to pass the budget and the appropriation act and start implementing, even if they mean to do that at the earliest opportunity. But so maybe it might happen, but maybe not in 120 days precisely. But I think in terms of the specific proposals, I think they've proposed to remove the e-levy, the COVID levy, the betting tax. If you look at what we are projected to collect from those three in 2025, I think it will be just around 5% of the revenue. And given how much of a nuisance, in particular, the COVID levy has been, the e-levy has been, I think removing them wouldn't be too much of an issue, trying to find ways to combat them. But having said that, I personally don't think that we should be removing the betting tax. I know the young people in this country will not be very happy to hear me say that, but I think one of the problems we've had in this country is that we make taxation solely focus on revenue generation. But we forget that we use tax policy to support certain local industries and local sectors and to shape some behavior. And I think the rate at which betting is taking hold of our youth requires some action. So personally, I don't support the removal of the betting tax. But having said that, even if we decided to roll back some of the exemptions, and it was good to hear the president say they are going to rationalize the tax system, I hope that includes removing a lot of all the exemptions to businesses or to profitable entities that we haven't really done a proper cost-benefit analysis to understand what they are giving us. If we're able to roll back some of the exemptions, it will fetch us multiples of what those three taxes are fetching us. So, in terms of what else we can do to raise revenue to plug those holes, I think there are many of them. We know that there's still a lot to do. There's a lot of potential in property rates that has not been explored, that are there. Mm-hmm. And of course, because of there's so much financial leakage from our system, a lot of looseness in our system that allows illicit financial flows out of our country, and then also transfer pricing regimes that make the country lose so much revenue. So in terms of what we can do to raise way more while removing those handles, there are many options. We just hope that the government will be committed to it. And of course, these things take time. So hopefully they will take their time and do the right things and make sure that we see the fruits going forward.
Thank you so much, Professor.
In a relaxed atmosphere throughout the festive Plus, take advantage of our special holiday accommodations for a complete getaway experience. Come for unforgettable performances this and every Friday at Zong inside the African Regent Hotel from 6 p.m. If you're in need of a modern equipped space for conferences, meetings, events, and parties, call or WhatsApp us on 0268 265 386 or 0302 765 180 to make your reservation today. You can also email us on res@african-regent-hotel.com. African Regent Hotel, simply Afropolitan.
It's time to reset yourself and everything.
Facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at Instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. Stories we've been bringing to you so far. President John Mahama makes his first batch of appointments, nominating 3 key persons or 3 persons to key ministerial positions. Dr. Tuforsin for Finance, John Jenapo for Energy, and then Dominic Ayeni for the office of the Attorney General and Minister for Justice. The president has actually been saying and stressing the point about the importance of assembling a capable team to fulfill the promises he made to Ghanaians. He also talked about how he was purposed to appoint only 60 ministers amidst receiving thousands of CVs by hopeful candidates.
Now the difficult part. I cannot do this work alone, and so I have to select some people to join me to be able to deliver the reset that we have promised Ghanaians. And it's coming in at a time when Ghanaians expected a reduction in the size of government. And so you won't want to be in my shoes when you promise to appoint only 60 ministers and you have thousands of people sending their CVs. Definitely some people will be disappointed. But it's not only by playing a role at that level that you can contribute to the success of government. There are many other things that we can all do. And I always say that the success of this administration will guarantee us, another term, maybe under some other leader. But we need to get this right so that Ghanaians will repose the confidence in us and give us another opportunity to continue. So all of us must put our shoulders to the wheel and work as hard as we can in order to achieve this. Ghanaians have taken us at our word that we're going to do things differently. Ghanaians punished the MPP for arrogance, for incompetence, and just for not listening to what their cries and challenges were. And so, as I said in the campaign, there's no use fighting for political power if we're coming to repeat the same mistakes that the MPP did.
So that was John Dramani Mahama. Meanwhile, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Babin, has referred 3 ministerial nominees to the Appointments Committee of the House for consideration.
I have received on your behalf a message from the Office of the President dated 9th January 2025. And it reads, Right Honorable Speaker, nomination of ministers for parliamentary approval. In accordance with Article 78(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, 1992, I hereby, on behalf of His Excellency John Mahama, submit for consideration and approval of Parliament the following nominees for ministerial appointments. 1. Dr. Cecil Otuba Forson, Minister-Designate, Ministry of Finance. John Abdullahi Jinapo, Minister-Designate, Ministry of Energy. Dr. Dominic Akuritinga Ayine, Minister-Designate, Attorney General and Ministry.
When the name he read out only 3 names. The Finance Minister Designate, the Energy Minister Designate, and the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Designate. Mr. Speaker, this thought appointment is unacceptable. Mr. Speaker, This is a government that promised a 24-hour economy. In opposition, they told us that they were ready for government. Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, indulge me.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Yes, indulge me.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Is that how you are starting it?
Please.
Let me finish.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Yes.
I'm just indulging you because you are a leader. This is a time slotted for correction of vote and proceedings.
Yeah, with your leave. I took your leave. Honorable Haruna Idrisu used to slot this in. I'm doing that. Mr. Speaker, this government, I'm talking for you, please, it's for you. Mr. Speaker, this government promised a 24-hour economy. Mr. Speaker, we expect them to be ready from day one. Mr. Speaker, you cannot start energy, finance, attorney general. When are the red of the ministers? You must be ready. We want to hear Ama Kofi Bua. We want to hear Agric. We want to hear Agric Ministry. Honorable Erikopoku.
Honorable Leader.
Honorable Erikopoku.
Honorable Minority Leader.
We want to hear Agric Ministry. We want to hear roads and highways.
Honorable Minority Leader.
We want to hear lands and natural resources.
Honorable Minority Leader.
Education.
So that was the Minority Leader, Alex Afenyo Markin. The Minority Chief Whip, Frank Anodomprey, also urged the nominees to prepare adequately to appear before the Appointments Committee for vetting.
I want to commend him highly. All of us are aware of his credibility and his composure in this house and maturity shown over the years. The Honorable Majority Leader's name has come up strongly. We also commend him and the Honorable John for the Energy Ministry. Let me remind His Excellency the President that this is 3 out of 60, so we have 57 outstanding. I can only wish you well. We on the minority side will be ready for you at the Appointment Committee. We want to caution your nominees to come prepared. It's not going to be business as usual. Come prepared. I hope you will be prepared when you appear before the Appointment Committee.
So you heard the Minority Chief Whip, Frank Anodomprey.
Now, President John Dramani Mahama has assured Ghanaians that his administration will prioritize ensuring a reliable power supply. The president's remarks come amid heightened concerns over fuel shortages for thermal plants and delayed pipeline maintenance by the West Africa Gas Pipeline Company, which experts warn could exacerbate the energy situation if not addressed. Speaking at the 92nd Annual Convention of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission at Pomazi in the Central Region earlier today, the president pledged to take decisive steps to keep the light on throughout his tenure.
Let me give you examples of some of the challenges we face immediately. For instance, a planned shutdown of the West African gas pipeline was supposed to take place in October last year. At the intervention of this government, it was postponed till January. This is a long delayed maintenance and has to be urgently done. But what it means is that there will be no gas available for all our generating plants in the east of Ghana, that is the Tema Enclave, because it will have curtailed the gas coming from Nigeria and the gas that comes in the reverse flow from our gas processing plants in the west. And so it means that the thermal generating plants in the Tema Enclave would have no access to gas. And normally, to forestall blackouts because of the loss of almost 2,000 megawatts of power, we have to make provision for fuel. And this is light crude oil, heavy fuel oil, and distillate fuel. Unfortunately, enough provision was not made for this eventuality. When the fuel arrives, it takes time to import it, 3 weeks to place an order and get it delivered. And when it arrives, you have to treat the fuel for another week and a half to make it ready for use in the generating plants. And so there's a threat of power outages. But my brothers and sisters, don't despair. Like I said, you elected us to solve the problems, not to put the blame on anybody else or to shoulder you with those problems. And so yesterday I called a meeting of all the stakeholders, the electricity value chain. And they have been sitting since yesterday to today to come out with innovative solutions so that we're able to keep the lights on. And so I can assure you, with some of the ideas they've come up with, we would make sure that your lights stay on and that we do not have doomsday, as you popularly call it.
That was President John Dramani Mahama.
Now let's hit the phone lines and speak to the Executive Director for the Institute for Energy Security, Nana Amosi the 7th, on this particular matter. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Happy New Year to you. You've not spoken this year. But it doesn't come as a surprise, really, how just upon taking office, I mean, the administration is having to deal with energy matters, the threat or the imminent power outages we may experience should our negotiations and talks with the West Africa Gas Pipeline Company not go well in terms of the rescheduling of the maintenance.
Good evening, Salom, and to your listeners. Happy New Year once again. Whether it comes to us as a surprise that we are confronted with this challenge, not at all, Salom. We have already indicated to you over the last 1 year that we have a fragile power sector. And to the extent that government continues to pump in money while the ECG sits aloof and watch the inefficiency and is unable to collect the revenue, ensure equitable distribution of the revenue to all the sector players, we can't say we have a solid power sector. It is fraught with inefficiencies, poor planning, lack of coordination, and a whole lot. So today you see a semblance of, I think everything is all right. Sorry, it is not all right. It's just like a cow dung. When you think that the surface is dry and so you can tread on it, you have a shock of your life. The whole power sector is decorated, and I would say it is polished with a makeup. And so reality is what we must live with. We all know that beyond even the fuel supply challenge to the generators, there are inefficiency and technical losses in the commercial, in the transmission and distribution segment of the value chain. Until we're able to address the mounting debt and the debt owed all the utilities and make them sound to perform, we can't say we have a sound energy or power sector. And so it doesn't come to us as a surprise. But at least President John Mahama has shown leadership that in the space of 2 days, confronted with a major challenge that could take away close to 1,000 megawatts of power from generation and result in doomsday, is able to engage, at least put together the major sector players and industry watchers to come out with a solution. And this is how leadership must work. You don't sweep the challenge under the carpet. You confront it. You engage the right minds to support, and you get your answer. Kudos to Mr. President.
I see. So now we understand there's some negotiation from what we heard from John Tinapo quite a while ago. It doesn't appear that the rescheduling, has been concluded, and they are seeking to reschedule or to move forward the maintenance for some 2 weeks. What can we do within the 2 weeks? Can we raise the $90 million required to purchase the fuel within this period? What can we do within the 2 weeks?
Well, I am unable to speak to that as to whether we are in a position to raise it. This must come directly from government. But at least we know that government have a goodwill to shop for these liquid fuels. The friends of President John Mahama were here. The Nigerian president, and that's the biggest producer of oil in Africa, alongside Angola. And so if you are struggling with liquid fuel in the form of light crude oil and heavy fuel oil and distillate, I think that's the closest space that we can first call on whilst we look far away. But I think that we will still have some answers. Yesterday, we did indicate that we can begin to look at even the Loma Triangle. Sometimes you have some meta vessels there, huge one, of course, that do ship-to-ship transfer for daughter vessels. Yes, the price may not be as we may get it because emergency cargoes are quite expensive. And that's what we intentionally or deliberately we've been able to come up with. We must manage that. But I know that a more, less costly path to take, if WAPCO is comfortable, is to defer their program for some weeks so that we bring in the liquid fuels. I'm sure that if we continue the engagement, some results may be produced, and that may be positive.
I see. Everybody is speaking about the inefficiencies of ECG, etc. ECG also talks about the fact that its inefficiencies sometimes are due to obsolete cables, etc. We need investment into that space before we can begin to reap the benefits thereof. How should that investment be? Obviously, privatization is key, but how do we go about this so we do not encounter what we saw with the PDS?
It must be transparent if we want to take the route of private sector participation, of which we support. It must be done in a transparent manner. It must be done with the intent that we are looking for value for money and performance. That's how we must approach it. We must ensure that we cross all the T's and dot the I's. Very key. We don't sit and make conditions subsequent. And so it must be done devoid of political interference and the best intent in mind. I've already proposed. We have a debt of 2.5 billion, all the utilities, particularly the IPPs and VRA. These guys are proving that they have capacity to run power generation. Some of their partners also are in the business of transmission and distribution. We can ring-fence this 2.5 billion, convert it into an equity for them to be part of any UCG consensual agreement or arrangement. That moment, the 2.5 is gone off our book because today the power sector has become a fiscal burden on our economy. If we are able to take such models and probably stress test other models, we'll find a path. But we must be transparent, devoid of the usual political interference and greed.
I see. Let's end here. Thanks so much. Nana Amoisi, the 7th Executive Director for the Institute of Energy Security. Thanks so much for speaking to us on Eyewitness News. He mentioned the fact that Ghana can turn to its neighbors, Nigeria. I mean, we saw the Nigerian president here for the inauguration of the president, John Dramani Mahama. And some excerpts from his speech perhaps could be useful. It says, your new president is a man of patriotic vision and substance. He loves his nation and people to the core. Mahama and I share a deep friendship. My dear brother, I am here to work with you. You can always count on Nigeria's support at any given time you call on me. We will work together to bring prosperity to the people of our two nations. So today I'm here not only as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but also as an African in resolute support of Ghana and her people. This moment is a source of pride and honor for Ghanaians and the entire continent and its diaspora. So perhaps if that call hasn't been made yet, I think it's time to make that call to Tinubu, president, so that he will make good his promise to be for Ghana or to stand with Ghana. Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. A few of our messages. But before that, let's take one more story in the Okankwe Central constituency.
Now, a scuffle ensued between the police and NDC supporters in Okankwe Central as the supporters intensified their protest against the declaration of Patrick Yeboah as the winner of the 2024 parliamentary election. The group has, for the second time in a week, blocked some streets in the constituency, this time the Fadama Bombay stretch, to demand the redeclaration of the NDC's candidate Baba Sadiq Abdullahi as MP. On January 7, some Abakan residents in the constituency protested the declaration and swearing in of Patrick Yeboah as their member of parliament. They took to the streets in a fiery protest after the parliamentary seat initially declared for their candidate Baba Sadiq was declared for Patrick Yeboah following a recollation of votes.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. Let's take a few of your messages before we go into business. Honorable Afenyo Markin is now coaching. He should kindly tone down. The NDC government will work harder than before. This Ghana will rise again. This is from Neodik Ni Atu Kwe in Accra. This one from Prince Herring Kofodia says, good evening. President John Mahama has really shown that he is ready to reset Ghana by his appointment so far. Let us support the NDC government led by His Excellency John Mahama to reset Ghana and give us the Ghana we desire. You say the future is bright and pregnant. This one, I'm taking for the last, from Mausi Ayebi I-Star in Abutia 13, the Volta region, says, Ghanaians, let's stand united in support of the president during this crucial time. With WAPCO set to carry out maintenance, we must stay resilient and patient. Together we can prevent power fluctuations and ensure that our lights stay on. Let's remain hopeful and trust in our leadership to navigate us through this challenge. Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. City Business News is up next. But before then, Howard has some more stories.
The Executive Director of the Alliance for Christian Advocacy Africa, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Oponi Frimpong, has expressed worry over acts of vandalism and violence that have characterized the post-election period in the country. His remarks come in response to reports of looting and destruction at various government institutions. Speaking to Such News, Reverend Oponi Frimpong called for thorough investigations into these incidents, warning that they threaten the nation's stable democracy and its reputation as a beacon of peace in Africa. He made this comment ahead of the release of the Alliance's report on the 2024 general elections, which forms part of its observation efforts.
What the Vice President did, early acceptance of the results, shouldn't have again brought us here. Despite what excellent thing he did, we also recorded all manner of violence and destructions of properties and some even death. And you ask yourself, what signals are we giving? That even when we have gone through the election, the results have been accepted, even when the EC is not available, ready to give results, we can still record violence. The place of violence in our electoral system and in our culture is a worrying thing that we need to revisit, because you are into election, we know the results, or we don't know the full results, but somebody has accepted that have been defeated, and yet the violent side of us will emerge. It's something we need to investigate as we move on.
Executive Director of the Alliance for Christian Advocacy Africa, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Oponi Frimpong. Meanwhile, President John Dramani Mahama has announced that security personnel would be deployed to safeguard key government institutions, ensuring the protection of public offices and preventing further attacks and looting allegedly linked to individuals associated with the NDC.
I know that in 2017, that is what the MPP did. After we lost that election, as soon as we handed over, they started to attack government offices, take over polling booths, take over public toilets, attack, go to government offices and throw people out, stop people on the street and take cars from them. We must not do the same thing. Let us show Ghana that we're different. Let us show Ghana that we're different. I know that a lot of our youth sacrificed and went to great lengths to make the party win. But I know that our regional and constituency executives know who helped to achieve this victory. And what we have been doing is compiling a list of such people and what possibilities there are so that we can engage their youthful energies when things have settled. And so rather than take the law in our own hands, open fertilizer depots and take fertilizer, open warehouses and take rice and things, let us show MPP that we're different. And let us win the confidence that Ghanaians repose in us. And so I will expect that regional chairmen and constituency chairmen will call our young people to order so that we can do this thing in an organized fashion. If this continues, we cannot let law and order break down, and so we'll have to call the security services to come and protect those sensitive installations. And we don't want that to happen. And so let us on our own bring things into order so that Ghanaians can repose their confidence in us.
President John Dramani Mahama, a former spokesperson for the Education Ministry, Kwesi Kwarteng, has dismissed allegations that no provisions were made for food supplies to secondary schools, noting that the ministry had already made payment for food procurement. His remarks follow calls by the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools urging parents to provide additional provisions for their children to address feeding challenges in schools. In an interview with City News, Kwesi Kwarteng accused Charles of unnecessarily creating fear and panic among students and parents.
I can speak to the fact that prior to the election there were enough food. It is even the more reason why even from 7 to 19 students were still in school and there were enough food. And of course, even before we left, just last week, an amount of 150 million Ghana cedis. But you see, the most important point that we have to reiterate is that yes, we may have, it is possible, just like, there's a common phenomenon. We have, some challenges within the food supply chain. But, the deliberate fear and panic that is being orchestrated by Charles, for me, is something that I believe that it should be measured. Because I do not agree that it is a case that all 18 food items are not in schools. I really do not agree. But whichever way we find ourselves in this situation, and I can say that before we left yesterday, I am not able to say, there were enough supplies in all schools. But what I can say is that the food that were available was to be able to at least sustain them for, a week or two. That has always been the practice until subsequent distribution is made to the schools.
You heard a former spokesperson for the Education Ministry, Kwesi Kwarteng.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Oh, jump on now. Go, go. Go me. What the?
Millennium Challenge Corporation agreement. The deal would unlock $190 million in funding to rejuvenate the energy sector, aligning with the Mahama administration's plans to privatize the ECG to improve its efficiency. Daniel Odro-Mensah has more in the following report.
The Millennium Challenge Corporation recently announced it has no intention of resuming operations in Ghana, effectively closing the chapter on the country's Millennium Challenge Compact. This development follows Ghana's missed opportunity in March 2019 to secure the second installment of the corporation's Power Compact, $190 million earmarked for infrastructure upgrades and energy sector recovery. The agreement faltered due to challenges surrounding a 20-year concession agreement with Ghana's Power Distribution Service, which was set to take over ECG's operations. The corporation cited the lack of private sector involvement, a critical reform requirement, as the reason for halting the fund disbursement. With energy sector reforms still critical to Ghana's economic growth, stakeholders are urging renewed efforts to revisit and potentially revive the corporation's deal. They argue that private sector participation remains key to driving efficiency and innovation in the power sector, ensuring its long-term sustainability. Dr. Yusuf Sulemana is an energy strategist.
If you're able to get the Millennium Compact back, that will be fantastic. What it will do will be two major things. Number one, we are going to immediately have some capital injection within the sector, and we need that injection. In fact, most of the leakages, commercial, technical losses, with a revitalized, cash pool within the sector, some of those leakages are avoidable. If you, for instance, if you invest into a smart meter system, tamper-proof meter system, that requires money.
You heard energy strategist Dr. Yusuf Sulemana ending that report filed by Daniel Odro-Mensah. Now, amid concerns over the volatile currency and rising cost of living in the country, economic analysts are urging Dr. Kezela Tuforsin to prioritize stabilizing the Ghana cedi and curbing inflation when he assumes office. President John Dramani Mahama on January 9 named Dr. Tuforsin as Minister for Finance designate as part of his initial batch of ministerial appointment submitted to Parliament. Commenting on the President's nomination, Professor Lord Mensah, lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, said while the first few days may not be sufficient to resolve all challenges, a clear roadmap and visible effort in tackling these issues will set a strong foundation for his tenure.
There are so many indicators you may have to look at. One of them is his education background, right? And then the other one is his personality. We can look at his experience over the years in the public sector. We can also talk about his connection from the party level to the government. I think looking at this indicator, he has a lot on the table to offer. And from where I sit, the president has gotten it right. Well, the first thing is to how he can collaborate with the Monetary Policy Committee to ensure that allocation, as far as public financial resources are concerned, directed towards areas that can reduce inflation, areas that can, stabilize the foreign currency, areas that can enhance private sector participation. And the president made, a statement yesterday that the economy, the day of swearing in, that the economy is open for business. And for an economy that will be open for business, we need a stable foreign currency. We need, inflation to come down. We need interest rate structures to also come down.
Professor Lord Mensah is a lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. The government is set to deepen its fiscal consolidation effort in 2025, leveraging the progress achieved last year. This is according to a latest report by Deloitte. Already, global rating agency Moody's recently upgraded Ghana's sovereign rating to CAA2 from CAA3, citing the positive effects of extensive debt restructuring measures that have eased the country's fiscal challenges. There is more in this report.
The audit firm notes that as part of its revenue mobilization agenda, the government is expected to intensify efforts by increasing existing taxes and tariffs, introducing new levies such as green tax, and reinstating road and bridge tolls. It also plans to roll out an electronic bookkeeping system and a streamlined digital platform to enhance the implementation of its revised tax framework aimed at expanding the country's tax base. These initiatives are projected to reduce Ghana's fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP from an estimated 4.4% in 2024 to 3.9% in 2025, with a further decline to 3.6% in 2026. According to Deloitte, while the adoption of these restrictive fiscal policies to boost revenue may strengthen the country's fiscal health, experts warn that such measures could aggravate inflationary pressures. However, directing the additional revenue into capital investment could counterbalance this effect by fostering productivity and delivered a 26.13% return for investors in dollar terms in 2024. In cedi terms, the Accra Bourse was the second best performing market on the continent. Looking ahead into 2025, Databank opines that MTN Ghana stands out as a top investment pick. The telecom giant is projected to maintain a strong earnings growth and attractive dividend potential. Since its listing in 2018, MTN Ghana has consistently rewarded investors with an average dividend yield of 12%, driven by robust net profit expansion. The fast-moving consumer goods sector is also set to extend its recovery in 2025. Databank research highlights key players such as Unilever Ghana, Fan Milk, and Guinness Ghana Breweries as leaders in this resurgence. These companies are poised to benefit from stronger earnings growth in an increasingly favorable operating environment, signaling a positive trajectory for the sector. Moreover, the energy sector presents promising opportunities, with Databank research projecting an 18% upside for total Ghana. This optimistic outlook is fueled by the company's proactive strategies.
That report was put together by my colleague Emmanuel Lopon, and that's it for City Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Up next is Point Blank.
New Kivo Hot Pepper Powder. Loco show. This advert is FDA approved.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Google me. At what time when you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same right. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind, Seth, be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium, they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish Magobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand Magobe inside?
I give you info. Make a feel the gobe too small.
Go.
Yo, Anna. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
30 minutes to the top of the hour. Welcome to Point Blank on Eyewitness News. My name is Selom Adonu. On Point Blank tonight, we bring you a playback of President John Mahama's speech at his first public engagement as president at the National Convention of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission in Ghana. In his address, the president reiterated his government's dedication to addressing Ghana's energy challenges and preventing a resurgence of the intermittent power outages known as Doomsor. Let's hear the president.
This occasion marks the 92nd annual Jalsa Salana of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission in Ghana, and it's a profound reminder of the values we hold dear: justice, peace, and unity. And today's theme, rightfully, is justice and peace, the essential ingredients for national development. And this does not only reflect these values, but is at the same time thought-provoking. As I return to these sacred grounds of Bagi Ahmed, that is the Garden of Ahmad, and belonging, the Ahmadi community's remarkable ability to convene such large gatherings with such breathtaking harmony and discipline is an inspiring testament to the ideals of order and unity. These ideals are principles that are in short supply in our nation today. And it is important for our nation to emulate the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission. To emulate the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission, especially as we navigate the challenges that lie ahead of us as a country. Before I proceed, I wish to first and foremost extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Almighty Allah for the blessings He has bestowed on Ghana. With another peaceful and successful general election, the trust that Ghanaians have placed in me is both humbling and inspiring, and I recognize the weight of this responsibility my fellow countrymen have put on my shoulders. I'm particularly grateful for the prayers and support of Maulana Noor and the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, the National Chief Imam, and religious leaders across all faiths. Your spiritual guidance and unshakable commitment to Ghana's peace and progress have been invaluable. Amir Chairman, my brothers and sisters, last year during my visit to London, I had the privilege of meeting His Holiness Khalifatul Masih V Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad. His wife's counsel and prayers were very important, and they continue to inspire me as I take on the immense responsibility of leading this nation. His sharp memory of his days in Ghana was remarkable, and his understanding of Ghanaian culture and tradition was very impressive. I came away after spending almost 3 hours with him, very impressed at his leadership of the Ahmadiyya faith. Justice and peace are the bedrock of our national aspirations, and as the Holy Quran reminds us in Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, verse 135, we are called to uphold justice even against ourselves. This powerful mandate also underscores the necessity of impartiality and fairness in governance. Justice must always not only be done, but must be seen to be done and must be felt by all. Justice is a moral compass that must guide our every decision, every law, and every interaction in our nation. To this end, the new NDC administration is resolutely committed to strengthening our justice system to ensure judicial independence and address the systemic inequalities that currently exist. I can assure you that this administration will work tirelessly to ensure that every Ghanaian, regardless of your status or background, is treated with dignity and afforded equal protection under the law. Amir, Chairman, my brothers and sisters, to achieve this objective of justice, we would have to move the stalled constitutional review process forward. To achieve this, I would soon establish a committee to begin the planning of a national constitutional review validation conference to achieve broad consensus on the way forward for the constitutional amendments that we have all proposed. My brothers and sisters, similarly, peace is a divine blessing of God, but it requires a concerted effort to maintain. And as Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us, peace is the foundation upon which communities flourish. In this vein, our government will prioritize dialogue over unilateralism. We shall build consensus as we move along together. We shall encourage religious harmony and engage leaders across all faiths to continue to promote mutual understanding. The Ahmadiyya Muslim community's inspiring motto, and I quote, "Love for all and hatred for none," is a powerful example of this kind of peace and unity that we must strive to achieve as a nation. It is a call to action for every Ghanaian to contribute to a just and peaceful society. Mr. Chairman, we are assuming office at a critical time in our nation's history. Ghana is faced with significant challenges, but that is exactly the reason why you elected us. We will transparently let you understand what those challenges are, and we will take responsibility for solving them. The Reset Agenda presents our collective commitment to restoring good governance, achieving economic stability and creating opportunities for all. And that is exactly what we shall do. It is our blueprint for national progress and will not waver in its implementation. Let me give you examples of some of the challenges we face immediately. For instance, a planned shutdown of the West African gas pipeline was supposed to take place in October last year. At the intervention of this government, it was postponed till January. This is a long delayed maintenance and has to be urgently done. But what it means is that there will be no gas available for all our generating plants in the east of Ghana, that is the Tema Enclave, because it will have curtailed the gas coming from Nigeria and the gas that comes in the reverse flow from our gas processing plants in the west. And so it means that the thermal generating plants in the Tema Enclave would have no access to gas. And normally, to forestall blackouts because of the loss of almost 2,000 megawatts of power, we have to make provision for fuel. And this is light crude oil, heavy fuel oil, and distillate fuel. Unfortunately, enough provision was not made for this eventuality. When the fuel arrives, it takes time to import it, 3 weeks to place an order and get it delivered. And when it arrives, you have to treat the fuel for another week and a half to make it ready for use in the generating plants. And so there's a threat of power outages. But my brothers and sisters, don't despair. Like I said, You elected us to solve the problems, not to put the blame on anybody else or to shoulder you with those problems. And so yesterday I called a meeting of all the stakeholders in the electricity value chain. And they have been sitting since yesterday to today to come out with innovative solutions so that we're able to keep the lights on. And so I can assure you, with some of the ideas they've come up with, we would make sure that your lights stay on and that we do not have doomsday, as you popularly call it. Education is the cornerstone of national progress. And to this end, as promised, while strengthening basic education, we will sustain and enhance the free SHS policy so that we gain the benefits that it is intended to bestow. We will address challenges such as overcrowding to ensure quality education at all levels. Our plans also include free tuition for first-year students entering public tertiary institutions, the completion of abandoned e-blocks, and investments to provide equitable learning opportunities nationwide and across the whole education value chain. These initiatives will empower our youth with the skills needed to excel in a rapidly changing world. We shall emphasize technical vocational education and training so that we can produce the skilled manpower that is needed for business and industry. I'm going to set up a planning committee to start working on the National Education Review Conference that I promised. This conference will review our educational system right from the kindergarten through the basic to secondary to tertiary to technical vocational education and identify what the hindrances to quality education are at each level of our educational system. I believe that this conference will come out with new ideas in order to provide us the outcomes that we need as a nation. Amir Chairman, a key focus of our administration is economic revitalization, as I said in my inaugural speech. This is going to be our immediate priority: how to stabilize our economy, bring down inflation, stabilize our currency, and run the economy in a transparent and accountable manner. Through a homegrown fiscal policy, we intend to alleviate the economic strain on citizens by removing some of the burdensome taxes and prioritize efficient revenue generation. It's our intention to capture more of the informal sector into the tax net so that we can fairly share the burden and incidence of taxation. The 24-hour economy policy, inspired by and tailored on global, will play a strategic role in this endeavor. This transformative initiative will create sustainable jobs, modernize our economy, and unlock Ghana's growth potential. In addition to this, healthcare is another urgent focus of our administration. We will prioritize investments in infrastructure and human resources to ensure accessible quality medical care. We shall continue abandoned health projects and operationalize them as key steps towards expanding healthcare access nationwide. My brothers and sisters, let me at this stage commend and congratulate the women of Ghana for the historic achievement in electing for the first time a female as the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. By this action, we have broken the first glass ceiling to allow our women to progress even to the highest offices of the land. But there still remains one ceiling, and that is a concrete ceiling. And I assure you that myself and Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman are going to work to break the concrete ceiling so that the next generation of women can follow and aspire even to the presidency of this country. Amir, Chairman, my brothers and sisters, good governance is the foundation upon which a nation's progress rests. In this light, transparency, accountability, and ethical leadership will define this administration. We shall pass a code of conduct for our office holders, and they will strictly abide by that code of conduct. We shall carry out comprehensive audits in order to establish what the situation of our state-owned enterprises and parastatals are. We shall operationalize the Operation Recover All the Loot and investigate persons we believe have engaged in misappropriation of public property and pursue them to recover such property. We will strengthen the institutions of accountability, that is the anti-corruption institutions, in order to ensure that public trust is restored. The Reset Agenda is a call to action for every Ghanaian to join in building a nation where justice, peace, and progress will flourish. It is imperative that we work together. I urge the Ahmadiyya Muslim community to continue its invaluable contribution to our education, healthcare, and social services in partnership with government. Together we can overcome obstacles and create a brighter future for all. Amir Chairman, on behalf of the people of Ghana, I express my deepest gratitude to your Muslim community for its steadfast commitment to Ghana's socio-economic development. Your schools, your hospitals, your humanitarian initiatives through humanity first exemplify what is possible when compassion is combined with action. Last year, as I stood on this ground, in my conversation with the Amir, I came to the realization that these holy grounds were formerly the well-known state-owned Pomadze Poultry Farm. And when I stood at the podium, I promised you that if God answered our heart's desire and I'm elected president, I will work with your Ahmadiyya Muslim mission to restore the Pomadze Poultry Farm back to its days of glory. I want us to work to make the Ahmadiyya Muslim mission one of the biggest supplier of chicken in this country. I intend to keep that promise I made, and I've already whispered to the Amir some of the steps that I have started taking. This farm will become an example and would lead the way to encourage other faith-based organizations to realize that they can go into income-generating projects, both to generate funds for the missions and also to provide jobs for their congregants. It will encourage faith-based organizations to look into income-generating projects, especially in the agribusiness space. And so, Maulana Noor, you will soon be hearing from me. You'll receive some visitors who will come and start working with you on the feasibility study. And soon, I'll be your ambassador to look for the funding to be able to establish this objective that we have set ourselves. Maulana Noor, my brothers and sisters, with the support of the people of Ghana, coupled with the dedication of our administration and the blessings of the Almighty Allah, I'm confident that Ghana's brightest days are ahead of us, not behind us. Together we shall reset Ghana and build a nation whose fruits of justice, peace, and prosperity will benefit all of us. Let us come together and build the Ghana we all want. May Allah guide our efforts and bless our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong. I thank you for your kind attention.
That was President John Dramani Mahama speaking at the National Convention of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission in Ghana. His first public engagement as president of the Republic of Ghana after he was sworn in on the 7th of January. This is how we conclude today's edition of the program. Show produced by Nana Kobna Wilson and Beverly Landing. Technical assistance by Thomas Obin Dakun. Earlier you heard Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. My name is Salom Adonu. Have a good evening.
City News. We speak first.